What's up, Taiwan? I'm Eric Gao with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. U.S. presidential candidates Donald Trump and Kamala Harris have faced off in a fiery, fast-moving debate. Topics included everything from domestic issues, abortion, race, and immigration, to trade and foreign policy. Joyce Sun looks at some key moments.
A consequential moment in the neck-and-neck race for the White House. Presidential candidates Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump meet for the first time to debate key issues in an election just 8 weeks away. Starting off with the economy, a top issue for American voters battling inflation since the pandemic. Trump pinning the blame on his Democratic opponent.
The people of our country are absolutely dying with what they've done. We're doing tariffs on other countries. Other countries are going to finally, after 75 years, pay us back for all that we've done for the world.
The former president claiming that should he win back the White House, China and other countries will face higher prices, not Americans, an approach economists warn could backfire and also prompt foreign governments to retaliate. Harris accused Trump of weakening Washington in a competition with Beijing for tech supremacy, pointing to his sale of American chips to China, which helped modernize the Chinese military.
A policy about China should be in making sure the United States of America wins the competition for the 21st century, which means focusing on relationships with our allies, focusing on investing in American-based technology so that we win the race on AI, on quantum computing.
On the sale of chips, Trump blamed Taiwan.
First of all, they bought their chips from Taiwan.
It was a fast-moving, energized debate with combative moments. Trump reusing his border czar label for Harris to criticize her handling of the hot-button issue of immigration. Trump claiming immigrants are harming American life, falsely accusing them of eating pets.
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats.
You talk about extreme.
On foreign policy, Trump and Harris addressed ongoing conflicts in Gaza and Ukraine, the former president insisting he could end Russia's war in 24 hours. Harris rebutted this, saying Trump could only do so because he would just give it up. Trump refused to say outright that he wants Ukraine to defeat Russian invaders, a troubling signal to U.S. allies across the world.
For allies and partners in Asia with time-honoured concerns about the consistency of US support. His refusal to do so undercuts some of the work that the Biden administration has done to date in building back confidence in the US's desire to show up for allies and partners and the consistency of that support.
For almost 2 hours, Harris went on the offensive, baiting Trump with comments known to get under his skin. Even Fox News, a traditionally conservative and Trump-friendly network, said that tonight she won. The network and the Harris campaign both said they want another face-off in October before voters hit the polls on November 5th. With the older and much criticized President Joe Biden having stepped back to let his vice president run for the top spot, Republican candidate Trump now faces a different, more energized rival in Harris as both campaigns kick into high gear for the final stretch. James Lin and Joyce Tsin for TaiwanPlus.
The U.S. state of Indiana has opened an office here in Taipei. It joins over 20 other U.S. states that have representative offices in Taiwan, a number that has quadrupled over the last few years. A Taiwan official says these offices help the U.S. and Taiwan cooperate on economic issues. Indiana was the first U.S. state to establish sister state ties with Taiwan in 1979. The military says it's grounding its entire fleet of Mirage 2000 fighter jets after one of those aircraft crashed during a training exercise. The pilot is safe, but the accident is part of a string of incidents with the old aircraft, leading to a debate about whether the military should ditch the aging fighters. Jaime Ocon has the story.
First responders rushed to treat Air Force pilot Xie Pei-xun. Late on Tuesday, Xie was flying a Mirage 2000 fighter jet as part of a nighttime training exercise when the aircraft suffered a malfunction, forcing him to eject off Taiwan's northwest coast. President Lai Ching-te is visiting the hospital where the pilot is being treated, while the military tries to figure out what happened. Officials say it was most likely a power supply issue.
概略在晚间8点35分左右返场的过程， 发现动力失效，那么人员随即弹射跳伞。那么国防部也立刻下令展开搜救的工作。
While the pilot is safe and recovering, questions are now being raised about how, just 20 minutes after takeoff, the plane lost power. Many observers say the incident could be due to the condition and maintenance of the aircraft. Taiwan received 60 Mirage 2000 fighters from France in 1997. All of them operate out of Hsinchu Air Base to protect the country's northern airspace. But France no longer produces the plane, which means spare parts and fuel to fly the aircraft are particularly expensive. In comparison, Taiwan's other fighter jets, the US-made F-16 and Taiwan's own IDF, cost $3,400 and $7,700 US per hour. But the Mirage costs more than $24,000 US in fuel per hour. But because of its quick takeoff ability, Taiwan still uses them to intercept Chinese planes flying close to Taiwan's borders.
所以在这种情况下，它扮演中华民国一个高度拦截机的角色，应对中共各种灰色地带的威胁。所以飞行员的负担是相对是比较辛苦的。这种情况就需要国人支持。未来在 F-16V Block 70陆续到达台湾服役之后。
Tuesday's incident is the 7th Mirage Taiwan has lost in an accident, which means more than 10% of the original fleet is gone. Taiwan scrambles fighter jets on almost a daily basis to warn off Chinese military aircraft that intentionally fly close to trigger a response. Many observers say that although these accidents can't be directly connected to China's rise in aggression, the situation does put strain on Taiwan's resources.
The fact is that because the Air Force is called upon to do so many of these intercept missions, and because there is this threat coming from China, so the pilots have to train that much more aggressively, that much more realistically. In essence, you're just creating the perfect set of conditions that's just going to make these accidents happen on a higher level of frequency.
Earlier this year, Taiwan said it would spend more than $320 million to continue maintaining its remaining Mirage fighter jets. But after Tuesday's incident, the military might need to reconsider whether it's worth ditching the aircraft and instead invest in more modern aircraft, ensuring that their pilots can continue carrying out their missions without worrying about their safety. Chris Ma and Jaime Ocon for TaiwanPlus.
Natural disasters are a fact of life here in Taiwan, and they impact all aspects of society, including the country's workers. Now, some employees are protesting what they see as unclear and unfair laws regarding how workers are compensated during times of national crisis. Reese Ayers reports from Taipei.
Here outside Taiwan's Labor Ministry, a protest asking for clarity and consistency regarding Taiwan's natural disaster leave policies. The Taoyuan City Industrial Federation of Trade Unions and the EVA Air Union organized the demonstration. They're arguing that labor laws don't do enough to force employers to properly compensate shift workers on duty during natural disasters. It's a heated event as protesters clash with a representative from Taiwan's Labor Ministry. In the event of a severe typhoon or earthquake, Taiwan's central government may declare a natural disaster day for parts or all of the country. This happened most recently when Typhoon Kami struck in late July. For most people, that means a day off work without losing any pay. But for many shift workers who need to work regardless of the conditions, it's up to their employer whether or not to compensate them, and many choose not to.
基本上你那天如果排班了，然后你跟公司说我一样，我觉得很危险，然后我不能来上班，你请了假呢，你就会被扣薪水，拿不到薪水。那除了扣薪水之外呢，他还会在管理上呢去扣你的考绩。
That's unfair, the protesters say. They're demanding mandatory paid natural disaster leave for all workers, double pay for those that do work on disaster days, and transportation subsidies. All things they say will bring shift workers, like ground staff at airports, in line with the rest of the country's workforce. In a country all too familiar with natural disasters, how employers compensate their workers during times of crises remains a sensitive issue. Eason Pan, Kama Xu and Reese Ayers in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
Unions are worried about a court ruling that they say could deal a huge blow to organized labor. They've gathered in Taipei to demand a swift decision that protects the right to strike. John Ventrias has this report.
Outside the Judiciary Building in Taipei, union reps chant like their jobs depend on it. Some of their jobs may in fact be on the line. And they worry the future of organized labor could be under threat too. In 2021, the Labor Ministry gave the go-ahead for the union at the Miramar Golf Country Club to strike. But the golf course's corporate owners have since sued the union's members, arguing the strike was illegal. 3 years on, the case is still in legal limbo, even though the Supreme Court has ruled the strikers are owed over $180,000 for breach of contract. Those 3 years of uncertainty have weighed heavily on union leadership. They don't know when a final ruling may come, but if the courts favor their employers, they could pay a big price, even beyond having to pay the company damages.
一定会开除啊，因为司法挺他们的嘛，劳官都等着被宰而已啊，对吧？啊，武器都拔掉以后，台湾的劳工谁敢去争权利啊？
These protesters want the courts to make a swift ruling and in their favor, because they say a loss would have a chilling effect on unions. And labor activists here say this isn't an isolated incident. Members of EVA Air's union, who recently won their own dispute about the legality of a strike, are here in solidarity. One union rep here says challenging the legality of strikes, even if the government has approved them, is a favored way of keeping labor unrest contained.
我觉得是很普遍的问题。那因为这两个案子的另一方都是财团，都是很有资金雄厚的大财团，所以对他们来讲，花很多钱或请很多大律师，或者是让学者专家听他们的话，可能都不是难事，都不是难事。那所以站在我们身为劳工的这一方，去对抗一个这么大的猛兽。 他拥有一切资源的猛兽，甚至他可能会影响到政府对他的很多想法或看法。
Protesters say the courts haven't said when a ruling might come, but they hope that by keeping up pressure for a ruling in their favor, they'll not only get a few union leaders out of trouble, but also preserve their right to strike. Alex Chen and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
Some of the biggest names in the global water treatment industry are in Taipei for a week-long expo. Leading companies and universities are here to showcase cutting-edge water resource technology, and Wesley Lewis reports.
It's Taiwan International Water Week, the country's leading water-themed trade show. Here, businesses and organizations from across the world are showcasing the newest innovations in water treatment technology. And a key theme this year is sustainable water recycling. And this machine made by a Japanese company takes dirty water and purifies it so it's safe to drink.
脚踏车跟净水器做搭配一个结合的一个新的观念、新的产品，在以后的防灾，大家都有这个防灾意识，也可以让我们能够迅速取得到干净的水源。
In recent years, droughts have become more common in Taiwan as climate change and unusually dry weather deplete the country's freshwater supply. 71% of Taiwan's freshwater is used for agriculture, 19% is used for household consumption, and 10% is used for industrial use. But as the country's lucrative semiconductor industry expands its chip manufacturing capabilities, it has already started guzzling up supplies previously earmarked for farming, highlighting a growing demand for clean water.
半导体对于清洁水的需求确实是增加的，那也对整个的水的这个处理试验呢，有相当多的一个需求跟业务产生出来。
Taiwan is keen to position itself at the forefront of water treatment technology. And as the world continues to face the adverse effects of climate change, innovators at this expo say this is just the start of how technology can help stave off water insecurity. Klein Wong and Wesley Lewis in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
Thanks for tuning in to What's Up Taiwan. If you want to see more of our reports, download our app to get updates on your mobile device. Finally, we take you to a zoo near Chicago where animals are celebrating the start of the American football season. I'm Eric Gao. Take care, and we'll see you next time.